to my channel. Today I am playing with so much new makeup. As you saw in the thumbnail, I have several new products here that I have been waiting to kind of play with on camera. I wanted to review the new mini gold palette from Natasha Denona. This is what it looks like. And also the highlighter, but I thought, why not incorporate a bunch of new stuff that I've been ordering, but I haven't had a chance to be able to tell you guys about it because I've been doing so many reviews. So we're just going to do kind of a full face of all these fun products that I have been buying over the last couple weeks. Sometimes it's more fun to do it as a full face versus just the review. Hope you guys are excited about this video. So without further ado, let's jump right into my try on makeup haul. Okay, let's start playing with all this new makeup. I was just going to do a review on these, but I don't want to do a review. I just want to play with makeup, and I'm going to use these and of course give you my opinion on them, but I just want to play with makeup. I got quite a few new products here that I want to play with. So I've already put on my primer, which is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. Okay, first up, I'm going to start with this foundation from Surratt. I think this is called the Dewdrop foundation. I have it in the shade 10. I don't know if this is going to be the right shade. But this foundation comes in, let's see, 20 different shades. Shade 10 is described as deep tan with a golden undertone and a dewy finish. So it says, experience natural looking coverage with a dewy hydrating finish with the Dewdrop foundation. It is light to medium coverage, dewy finish. So let's open it up. Oh, it's kind of messy. Ugh. It's coming out all over the place. So that is what the shade looks like. And this might be a decent shade, but I wouldn't call this deep tan. So I would probably call this like a medium. So the bottom has this little push button here. That's what it is. So you push the bottom, because I was thinking, because it doesn't spill out. I mean, it did when I first opened it, but you know, that could have been from transit. But as you can see, it has this little circle right here, and you push it and it will dispense the product. So, okay, I'm going to take my foundation brush and go down in and apply some of this on. That's a decent shade. It's a little bit light. Sometimes I prefer my foundations to be a little bit darker, and that just completely ate up that foundation that I have, and I didn't get much coverage. So this is definitely light to buildable medium, but I think if you're going to build it up to a medium, you're going to use quite a bit of foundation. So this is kind of hard because like my hand, this is kind of hard. I think you have to, the only way for me to hold it is like this and do the dropper, because the shape of the bottle doesn't fit perfectly in my hand to like do this at the bottom. I don't know. I don't know that I love the packaging. So I'm going to kind of do some stippling motions to try to get this to build up as far as coverage goes. It definitely has a nice dewy finish, but because it is kind of a dewier foundation, you might want to kind of like go over it with a sponge. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I don't love this. Like, it's so hard for me to figure out how to hold this and dispense the drops. Like, I don't know. I just don't love the packaging. Got some here on this sponge just so that it doesn't like soak up all the stuff, the foundation that's on my face, you know? So I'm going to kind of go over this with a sponge and try to like melt it into the skin. So I'm going to go on this side with the sponge only and just see what it looks like with the sponge only. But I do think I'm going to get better coverage with the brush. See, like the sponge doesn't really give you much coverage. And I hate this packaging. This packaging is a pain in the total butt. Okay. I've used several drops now. I've probably had maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 drops. I don't really like to use a lot of foundation, but with this one, maybe going like this and putting it all over. Like maybe kind of rubbing it into my skin with my fingers. I'm going to try that on my forehead. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of blend this in with my fingers first. I will obviously do a better and more full review on this. It's definitely dewy. It's almost too dewy for me. I'm gonna probably need to definitely set this with some powder. Now, the only thing that I worry about is the texture of it and how dewy it is. If you don't set it with a little bit of powder, this might be one of those that might slip and slide all over the place. And the reason why I say that is because when I use the brush kind of, it shows brush marks. Normally when I have a foundation that shows brush marks, that's dewy, it's a slipper and a slider. Yeah, I don't know that I love the color. What did they say this was? Deep tan? Number 10 is described as deep tan with golden undertones. No, this in my opinion is a medium with a neutral undertone. I wouldn't call this golden in my opinion. This is more of like just a medium with a neutral. So if you are a medium with a neutral undertone, shade 10 would be perfect. But I think the shades are a little off because this is definitely not deep tan. Like, not even a little bit. When this first came out, this is the Giorgio Armani concealer. When this first came out, everybody loved it. I tried it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I didn't feel like the formula was special enough to justify the price. That was kind of my overall thoughts on it. But I thought maybe the shade was off, and I thought, you know, during the Sephora sale, I went ahead and grabbed shade 6 because I originally had shade 4. So I went ahead and grabbed shade 6 so that I could try it using a little darker of a shade. So I'm going to give it another go and see if I like it now versus, you know, like I said, I liked it when I reviewed it, but I didn't love it. So I'm going to put a little bit of this up. I think I applied too much. Hold on. I applied too much. I forgot. This is a concealer that you don't have to apply a lot with. Even though I wiped off the applicator, I think I got too much, so I went ahead and wiped it off. But it is a very smooth formula, so it glides onto the skin very, very easily, and it's kind of, I would describe this as like a soft matte finish, where it's not super matte, but it kind of has that matte vibes. My battery died right when I was getting ready to blend this in. But yeah, the key with this one, I think, is applying a little bit. A little bit of it goes a really long way, and it is very, very soft on the under eye. It's really great coverage, but I didn't like love it enough to say that it was worth the money. No, it's expensive as far as buying it, but I remember you didn't get a lot of product for the price. So that was my thing, but I'm definitely excited to try it in a darker shade. Right, let's move on to the brows. So as you guys know, I have been trying to grow out my brows. They are still growing out. I'm still working on them. I have some sparse areas that I have to fill in. The inner portion, like this part, is getting better. This one needs to come over a little bit more, so I've got some little baby hairs coming up. I ordered this. This is from M Cosmetics, which I will get into this in just a minute. This is their liquid blush, but I noticed on their website they had this. Okay, so this is called the Micro Fluff Sculpting Brow Cream. And I got this in the shade, I probably should have gotten Classic Brunette, but I never know what shade to get because I never know if it's going to be too dark or too light. So I ended up getting Universal Brown, I believe. So before I get into that, I am going to use this. So this is the Iconic London. Now I got this a couple of days ago. I've tried it out a few times. I don't know how I feel about the product yet, but I hate the brush. The brush is freaking-normous. Whose eyebrows are this big? Like, this brush is ginormous. It's way too big. Like, I don't know really what they were thinking, but they need a smaller brush. I'm just, you know. So this is kind of a soap-like, and basically how you do it is you just take the brush, and it's got like coarse bristles on it, and you rub through the product, and then you kind of comb it through your brows. And it's supposed to kind of be like the soap-like, and you're supposed to use it to kind of shape your brows and kind of put them where you want them, and then let it kind of sit and dry for a minute, and then go in with your brow product. I don't really feel like it has done much. I don't know if I'm using it wrong. I don't know, but I hate this stupid thing, especially on this side, because it's hard to hold. When I'm using it on this side, I have to hold it like this instead of holding it flat. On this side, I can hold it flat. On this side, I can't. It's a pain in the butt. This is stupid. Like, whoever created this brush never used it because it's dumb. I don't understand it, but this is called Brow Silk, universal clear formula that locks brows into place. Use wet or dry with our bespoke brow groomer. Yeah, it's not a brow groomer, it's a toothbrush. Zero mess, easy to use, creates a lifted feather effect for fuller looking brows. I have tried over top of, like, I'll fill in my brows and then try that over top, and I feel like the product itself, like, I kind of feel like it disrupts my pencil, like if I fill them in and I go ahead and use this. So the best way that I have found to use it is to use this first and then kind of let it sit for a minute and then go in with whatever brow product I'm going to use. So I'm going to go in with a tiny bit of this. This is the first time I've ever used this. This is the one from M Cosmetics. And I'm going to wipe off as much as I can on the brush because that's the one thing I do know about. When I used the Charlotte Tilbury one, I didn't love how much product comes off on the brush, and this is kind of the same way. So I'm just going to take this through my brows where I want a little bit more thickness and a little bit more volume. It's not bad. I still have some sparse areas, but it's not bad. Okay, brows are finished and they don't look too bad. We'll see how it goes. They don't feel like super crusty or anything, so I'm curious how this is gonna work. This, stupid. If I continue to use it, I'll probably just use a spoolie and kind of rub a spoolie through it. I think this is a little bit ridiculous, but we already know my feelings on that. Let's move on to some contour. I don't have a new contour product, so I'm just gonna use my Kkw Beauty Contour Stick, but I do have my new contour brush that I'm stoked about. I love it. It's my favorite. So I'm gonna, this new brush from the Sonia G Sky Face set, so good. So good. I am so glad that I got this fan brush because I've been wanting to get the Sculpt 3, I think is what it's called, or Sculpt 2 or something. I can't remember, but this works really good. I really warm up this foundation because it's making me look a little dead. I just need a lot of bronzer. So I did pick this up on sale. This is from Too Faced. It was on sale, I think for half off or something like that on the Sephora website. It's called Bronzed Peach. This is what it looks like. I've used it once and I'm curious to try it again. I think I'm gonna use this brush. Why not? I'm gonna use the same brush. I'm gonna go into the product and go over top. I think it's more creamy, like you can put your finger in it, so it's more of like a creamy bronzer, but it's pretty. I do need some powder, but this is a cream product, so I kind of want to put this underneath the powder. So let's open this up. Oh, I just got a lot out. Oh shit skis. I didn't want that much out. I just still got way too much out. That's the color of it. It's not bad. So I'm gonna dip the brush down into what I have here on my hand. I have it right here. And I don't know if I tap off, like, I don't know, let's see. Oh, that's kind of pretty. That's kind of pretty. It's very natural. This would have been perfect during the summertime when you're just applying, like, oh, that's pretty. Look how pretty that is. This would have been perfect for the summertime when you're applying like a tinted moisturizer or something and you want just a little bit of flush of color on the skin. Ooh, this is pretty. Now don't get me wrong, it's a little bright right now, but I'm doing it a little bit heavier because I am going to be going over everything with powder and I'm looking a little bit like off, like I got a lot of bronzer going on up here. All right, I'm gonna grab my Hourglass powder. This foundation is a little bit too dewy for me, so I need some powder, like stat. This brush is phenomenal. See what I mean? Like powder is gonna kind of tone everything down a little bit. I am gonna go into my Charlotte Tilbury powder and go over my pores. Kind of make them look more soft. Let's move on to the highlighter. So I have this one from Natasha Denona. So this is her new Shimmer Duo. It's a glow gold palette and it's gold. Let me show you. So look at those. These might not be good for my skin tone. Like, I feel like these might be a little bit too gold. They're not like super pigmented. They're not like overly pigmented. So this right here is this shade, the first shade, and then this shade is this shade. So they're not bad, but they're definitely probably a little bit too gold for my skin tone, but we're gonna try it. So I'm gonna put this one right here on this side on my face right here. Let me go into this one. I definitely think this one's gonna be too dark. I feel like this is a good palette for those of you that have like tan and darker skin. Like, I think this palette would be perfect. I don't love that color. This color is just too gold. But this would be really pretty to put over an eyeshadow to kind of make it pop, but it's very expensive for that. I don't know. Like, you'd really have to love gold to love this. I only got this to review it with the actual palette, but I don't love this. Like, I don't feel like this is my cup of tea. It's like a sheer type of highlighter, so it's not packed very good, and it's definitely not the same formula as like the Emraze or some of her other highlighters that I have from Natasha Denona. This is a very sheer formula. Like, first, I'm going to talk about this. So, I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about this, but this was a heated eyelash curler that I've had for a while. This worked, but it was kind of cheap and chintzy, and it required batteries. But the problem was this gets kind of stiff because you have to push this up. This gets a little bit stiff, and it's kind of hard to do it with my thumb. I don't know if like I have a thumb weakness. I don't know. But I always felt like I was going to like completely pull out my lashes while I was trying to push up this stupid thing. So I ended up buying this on Amazon. It was like 20 bucks. It's chargeable, so it has, you know, just a little port thing where you can charge it. Seems like it stays charged pretty good. Has 3 levels. Now this gets crazy freaking hot in seconds flat. So I recommend turning it on and then starting it pretty quickly. So this is just a heated eyelash curler, and it works pretty good. So I'm gonna run this through my lashes before I start my eyeshadow. But you kind of just push it through. Now, if you wait till it all the way heats up, it gets too hot. Like, it is a hot sucker, and it will burn your eyelid if you're not careful. Now let's move on to the eyeshadow. So I have this new palette from Natasha Denona. First, go into this shade right here. It's the first shade in the palette, and let's just put that in the crease and see how dark it is. Like, see what kind of depth we can get with it. Now that shade has more depth than I thought it would, but if you have a darker skin tone than I do, that shade's not going to show up on your skin. Kind of wish that shade was darker. I think that shade would be better if it was a little bit darker. Now I'm going to dip into a tiny bit of the green matte, which is this one. I think that's what this palette is missing, is a matte shade that will kind of build up depth on its own and is a little bit darker, but I'm going to make this work. I am going to take that shade and place it right up here on this outer corner on the lower lash line. I wish that first shade was just a little bit darker. I'm going to put every shade on because I want to play with every shade. So I'm going to first go into this dark green one on the outer corner, and let's apply that dry first. Oh, that's pretty. That is a beautiful shade. I'm going to bring a little bit of that into this portion. I'm going to take my finger and kind of... Oh, damn, that shade's pretty. Next up, I'm going to grab this middle shade right here and place that. Oh my gosh. Do you see how gorgeous that shade is? Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Oh my gosh, that shade is so pretty. Okay, so the mattes are definitely not like my favorite, but the shimmers, gorgeous. If you love like greens and golds, you will love this. This is so pretty. I'm gonna take a small brush like this. This is one of the Luxie like mini brushes. And I'm gonna go into this black and just see if we can smoke out this outer corner with this shade. On this outer corner. I wish my foundation had better coverage. When I wear an eye look like this, I like a more like medium coverage. So I'm gonna take this brush, I'm gonna go into the very first shade, this one right here, and kind of just go over top of all of these shades and kind of melt this crease together. For the inner corner, I don't really have a shade that I want to use, so I'm just going to use my M-Raising highlighter. I think you could use any highlighter you want. This one's just kind of like a light champagne gold. Okay, so this just arrived in the mail just in time to use it here on camera. This is the new mascara from Lilly Lashes. This is the XXX. And it comes in black. This is what it looks like. So this is what the brush looks like. It is a thicker brush. It is kind of a chubbier brush, which, you know, again, I like them a little bit smaller, but that's okay. On one side, I'm going to use my primer, and on the other, I won't use any primer just to see if the primer makes a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and put the primer on this side. This is my favorite primer. This one is the one from Dior. Now, I have used a few other primers. I've used the one from Maybelline. I've used the, let's see, I've used the Maybelline. I've used the one from Chanel. I've used the one from Smashbox. This one is the best for me. Like, it helps my little baby lashes. The trick with primers is you want to put it on, run your spoolie through it just to make sure you don't have any clumps, and then let it sit for, you know, a couple minutes to kind of thicken up. So let's go ahead and apply this one on this side. The brush is kind of thicker and a little bit fat, which I'm not big on big brushes because I have such small lashes that when the brush is big, it's harder for me to use. But the nice thing about this formula I'm seeing is that the brush spreads it out quite nicely and kind of runs through the lashes nicely. Pretty nice thin formula. Something about mascara, it gets good and it gets really good after a couple weeks of use. So now I'm going to start on the primer side. I like to do my mascara in coats. So I put one coat on this side, I'm moving over to this side, and I'm going to put a coat on this side, and then I'll move back over there. But I like to do it in different coats and kind of put one even coat on and then start building up the thickness after I have the first coat on. But I also like to let it sit and kind of set up for a second before going in with a second coat. Now I'm going to go in with the second coat. This is another thing I don't like about a big brush is that it's hard not to get mascara on the bottom lashes. The key to this is to see if it will transfer and give me raccoon eyes, because the one thing I hate about mascara, if it gives me even a little bit of raccoon eyes, I won't wear it. I'm going to put it on the lower lash line just so that I can watch for it, and I will definitely let you guys know in the comments section how that worked. Now I like it on the lower lash line, like that worked really good on those lower bottom lashes. Okay, so now let's go ahead and apply the lipstick. So as you guys saw in my Hourglass Ghost Palette review, the new holiday collection, this is new from Hourglass, and I love wearing a red with golds and yellows. It's one of my favorite combinations. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on. It's kind of a pretty brick red. I do love wearing red with golds. There's something beautiful about a red lip with like the golds and the olive tones. It's really pretty. I do think that this is really expensive. I think there's plenty of other lipsticks out there that are just as good as this one, but not as expensive. You know what I mean? Okay, so let me get into my final thoughts on the products that I've tried out today. The foundation is not my favorite. I kind of just feel like it is pretty dewy. So for those of you out there that have really dry skin and you love that dewy skin, I think this is pretty. But I think it's overpriced for what it is. My personal opinion, I feel like there's several dewy foundations out there that are just as good. For example, the Lancome Skin Feels Good. I'm absolutely obsessed with this one. Also love the new NYX Born to Glow. This one is fantastic. It gives you that dewy look, but it also sets down, which is what this one doesn't do. Even though I have applied 2 different powders, I'm still kind of dewy, and I mean, you can see that I just made a mark right there. I don't know that this is going to be a really long-lasting foundation, and I don't know how I feel about it. I will definitely give a full update down in the comments section, so I will just pin a comment to this video giving you guys a full update on how everything wore. The concealer, I'm still kind of on the fence about the concealer. I don't know that I absolutely love it like everybody does. I think it's a decent concealer, but I still have more concealers in my collection that are less money that I think are just as good, but it's a decent concealer. This, I actually really like this. I think I might buy another shade, maybe like a softer shade. I love this shade though. I think the shade is really pretty. This would have been even more perfect for me during the summertime. This is more my jam in the summer. During the winter, I don't know that I'll reach for it that much, but I do really like the formula. I can see why people like it. It is, it kind of feels a little bit oily almost, but it's not. It actually, when you blend it out in your finger and then you go to put it on the face, it kind of melts into the skin, which I really like that about this product. It's a really nice liquid blush. If you guys have been wanting a good liquid blush formula, I think you'll really enjoy that one. As far as the brow product, I like the brow product. I don't feel like it's any different than the Charlotte Tilbury. I still really like the Charlotte Tilbury. I haven't used it for a while. Since I've got more brows, it kind of seems like I don't need it as much, but I do really like the formula. It is a good formula. This, I hate the brush. We've already established that. The only thing I don't feel like this holds my brows quite like the 24-hour brow setter from Benefit. This locks it, you guys, and it stays like your hairs won't budge. And I love that about that. Now, if you go in too heavy with this, it can get maybe a little crusty if you go in too heavy, but I only put 1 coat on and I never have crusty brows. But this, I feel like might be just a tad bit too soft to hold my brows. But what I do like about it is it kind of gives the brows a shine. So it kind of makes the actual hairs shiny, and I like that about this product. I'm going to continue to use it and I will let you guys know how it works. Bronzer I think is decent. For being a cream bronzer, I think it's a decent formula. It's very lightweight though, so I think that's good. For those of you that want more of an intense bronzer, I think this is going to take you a long time to build up because it's just not that intense, and it's beautiful though. It does have kind of like a pretty shine to it. I don't know why I put 2 fingers in there, but whatever. It does kind of have a pretty shine to it, and it's a nice cream formula, but it also blends out to almost like a powder, kind of like a soft powder. So I like this. I don't like absolutely love it, but I like it. It's decent. Well, regarding the highlighter palette, I kind of expected more from this. Don't get me wrong, I don't feel like the shades are right for my skin tone, but the thing that I like the least about this is that it doesn't really pack much of a punch. So this one is very sheer. I mean, it is extremely sheer. It's just not really there. Like, I don't really understand the purpose of it. And the more that I keep swatching it, the more it kind of gets a little bit hard panned. So I'm going to dig my finger. Like, I am digging, okay? And there's nothing coming off on it because it's so sheer. And I have been, look at that. Like, where is it? It's so weird. Like, this should have been in a mini size. It's a full size and it's so expensive for what it is. Even if you like gold highlighters, like this one is okay. Like this one definitely packs a little bit more of a punch, but it's so dark. I don't know. Like, I think you're gonna have to love these shades in order to make this work. During the tutorial, I kind of felt like if you have a deeper skin tone, you might like this. You're gonna have to be a specific type of somebody. You're gonna have to have a darker skin, and you're gonna have to like a sheer glitter topper type of highlighter where it doesn't pack a punch at all. And you're gonna have to be somebody that is okay with spending that much money for a product like this. I don't feel like many people are gonna like this. That's just my opinion. You guys know I always try to keep it very honest. I am definitely taking this back. Like, I don't even think I would keep this for a glitter topper because, like I said, I keep going in here and this is getting hard panned. Like, nothing is coming off. So I'm gonna go in really hard. I want you guys to see this, okay? You guys can see I'm going in hard. Like, it's starting to get hard panned. So let me put it here. Like, where is it? I don't understand it. I just don't get it. I don't. That one is it's not worth the money. It's $42 for that. I just feel like this is way overpriced for what it is, like extremely overpriced. Up here on the screen you will see the swatches of this palette. I took it in, you know, just regular, and then I took it under a flash so you could see the intensities of the shimmer shades. Now I kind of feel like the matte shades, I would have maybe chose different matte shades for this palette. However, with that being said, I still love the eyeshadow look that I created with it. This is not a palette I'll be reaching for every day, but for those days that I want that green and gold, this is definitely something that I would be picking up. You don't get a lot of product in these, but I do like the mini sizes. The mini nudes palette is definitely my favorite from Natasha Denona overall. But yeah, I like this palette. If you like the color story in here, I think you'll really like it. I think you have to like this color story though. Like, if it doesn't really attract you, I wouldn't mess with it because there's just really no point. The gold is so pretty on my eye right now. I love the eye look that I created with it. Like, I do. I really like it. And I like how she popped a little bit of this kind of shimmer black. It's kind of got like a purple undertone to it. It's really pretty. I'm glad that she put a shade like that in the palette so you can add the depth, because none of these shades are going to give you any type of depth. And if you have like a tan to darker skin tones, these are, you know, this one might show up on your skin, but it might turn really ashy. This one definitely won't show up on your skin. It just will be a light flush of weirdness. So that's kind of a bummer. These are really not going to work for a darker skin tone, but the actual shimmer shades, gorgeous. And I would love to see what this looks like all over the lid. I think this would be a really pretty shade to start off on the, like at the base of the lashes, and then kind of pull it up into the eyelid and then kind of buff it out and have it just be like a nice, like soft smoky eye. I think the shade is beautiful. I might play around with it again and see if I can create a look with just that shade. I think it would be really pretty. I think this mascara I'm actually going to end up liking. After I let it sit, like when I put those 3 coats on and I let it sit for a minute, I went back in for one more coat and it really lifted it. Kind of, once this dries, the thing that I like about it is that it's not crusty. I don't like super, super crusty mascara where they're like sticks and they become really hard. I don't like that. This is a very, very soft mascara formula. I love the way it looks on my lower lash line. And so far, I have not received any raccoon eyes. I don't feel like this formula is going to be a raccoon eyes type. Most of the time I can tell right away if the formula is going to be, you know, kind of transferring on my lower lash line. I don't feel that way with this one. I like this so far. I think I'm going to love it even more once it ages, you know, maybe a couple of weeks. So those are my final thoughts on everything that I used today. I hope that this video was fun. I definitely wanted to review both of these for you, and I just thought it would be fun to kind of play with more new products and just do a full get ready with me instead of just being so like review, you know. And I love reviewing, but it's a lot of work, and this is just a little bit more fun and playful. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for all the love that you guys show me and this channel. It means the world to me. I will see you guys in my next video, and I love you all so much. Bye.